My friend Dan needs a new bridge. Let me explain. Welcome back to the shop on the channel, and a bridge not terribly far. Sorry about that. Anyhow, my friend Dan has a pool of pools. There's a small shallow pool, and then there's a regular pool, kind of a diving pool, and there's a little, for lack of a better term, a canal goes between the two. And he has a bridge where you can walk over that canal, and this is a picture of the bridge as it exists now. And it looks like it's in good shape. Really, it's not. It's got some rot in it. Things are coming apart. So he wants me to build him another one. I'm going to build him another one. Now, the arches that you saw in that picture are made from a single 2x12 piece of pressure-treated lumber. And that's what I've got lying here. There's two 2x12s here. I'm going to draw out the cuts on one, cut it, put it on the second one, mark it, and cut that one. This drawing here gives you an idea of what I'm talking about. You note those two parts that are 1/16 of an inch for the feet. Even though this is the hard contact, stays on the dirt, pressure-treated lumber, I'm going to put some aluminum plates underneath those feet that connect to the ground, to the concrete, so it protects it a little bit longer on the feet, because there's some rot in the feet in the one he has. So, how am I going to do the curves? I developed the curves. It's just like doing the boat building thing. I'm going to run a batten. I've already marked it out with dots where I need to put screws and whatever. I'm going to run a batten across this here, and the batten will probably be that 1-inch piece of PVC pipe you see over there, because it's got about the right spring that I'm looking for. Once I get these cut out, that's the majority of the hard work. Then it's just putting it together, and the treads are 2x4 pieces of pressure treat that just connect, from one end to the other across it, and that holds it all together, kind of. I'm going to put some blocking in to make sure it's a little bit better, a little bit stiffer. You'll also notice in that drawing, here it is again with a circle, he wanted some handles because they want to pick it up and put it into his little pool house in the winter. And this is my prototype handle right here. It's a little under 5 inches this way. The holes are drilled with a Forstner bit, 1.5 inch, trimmed out, and then rounded over with a roundover bit. I did this with my 1/4 inch radius roundover bit, and it's okay, but I think it needs to be, I want it to be a little bit smoother. So I'm going to do 1/2 inch radius roundover bit on these handles for the bridge. So let's get busy doing some marking out. Case in point, this is 2 inches tall here, 2 inches tall there. In the center, it's 7.5, so it's a 7.5 from the 16-inch up, 7.5 and 7.5. So let's mark this out so I can do the cuts. Okay, so I used the PVC pipe as the batten. It worked out really well. Little thing I learned in boat building is it doesn't take much out of whack for you to see with the naked eye. So when we were lofting a boat and getting the curves out on the lofting floor, and basically you put your dots on the floor and your nails on the floor, and you run a batten along that, and you can stand back and look at it, and from 16, 20 feet away you can see like just a tiny bit out of whack. Just tap the nail and it goes right into line. That's how good your eye really is. Give your eyes more credit, please. So I've developed my curve for the top of the side rail. And now I'm going to draw the line on it, come back, reset it, and develop the curve for the bottom of the rail. So I'm going to use the indelible Sharpie and just draw the line. Now I'll tell you how I did this in a second. Okay, so what I have here is I have a clamp holding the center in that direction. I have a screw here and a screw here Then I bend it around and then get it behind that screw right there. Now, that is not quite as fair as it should be. Right here and here, it had to come up a little bit to get the correct fair line and give me that 7 1/4 inch here and here. So what I did is I moved the tube up, the PVC up a little bit, put a screw in there and put a screw in right here. And when I stood back, and I don't think I'll be on camera doing this, barely, I stood back and I looked at it and I could see that the curve was fair from all angles. Fair curve. Yeah. Song by, I forget who wrote the song, but Jimmy Buffett does it. I got boats to build. Listen to it. It's a pretty good song. So now I take this off and do the same thing to get the lower curve from here to there. So it's all cool and symmetric. The height is symmetric all the way through from here to here to here. Okay, I did the same thing here, kinda. So I found my center, the 7 1/4 here. I found the end here, which is 16 inches from the end of the board at both ends. I found I was a little shallow in the curve here and here. So I added a screw here and then came and put a blocking in here and tapped it up a little bit. And once again, I see a fair curve. So now let's draw that out. Then we can dig out the saw to do the saw thing. Okay. And there it is. Let's pop it apart. I'm sure you can't see it in camera. I'll get a picture and put it up. And you can see how this is all going to work. So what I have now is, as I say, a fair curve for the arch of the bridge with a 2-inch step here and 2 inches up here and then 7 1/4 all the way along the line of it. And I'll put some blocking in here and in here to give it a little more strength from side to side. It's not that I don't trust it. I just want to make sure it's tight. And then maybe future-proof it a little bit. I'll put some vertical pieces in the inside just for some vertical stability. But this now needs to be cut out. And that's going to be a fun process. You don't need to see that on camera. So let me cut this out, and then we'll mark the other one, and we'll cut that on out. Yes, it's a different day. Of course it is. So I have the 2 arches for the bridge cut out. They've got 16-inch feet at either end. They're 2 inches high at each end. He just wanted me to duplicate what he's got. I'm going to put 3 pieces of blocking in here. We'll center one over here and one over here, maybe small ones on the end. Blocking's 32 inches also is a pressure treat. Everything's pressure treat. This is going in with 2.5-inch deck pocket screws. Now I'm using Deckmates, not a sponsor. I use Deckmates in outside work, and my pocket hole jig, of course, to do the pocket holes. Bip, bip, yep. So it's 5 screws in each one, and that's to kind of not have any screws showing on the outside, and it'll hold up fine. You know, the pocket screws have lifetime warranty. But first, Dan wanted handles at either end of these, and I'm thinking instead of doing internal handles like this, I'll just do a notch to hold your hand on the back on the ends of these, and that should be plenty for picking these things. I mean, it's going to be heavy. This isn't going to be. I don't think it's going to be a 2-person lift right away, because once the treads get put in place, that's 24 pieces of 2x4, 35 wide, pressure treated, so it's heavier than regular stock. So anyway, let me go ahead and let's cut out. I'll do one of the handles, and then I'll just do the rest off camera, and then we'll come back and start getting this put together slowly had to break all that down, and I've got it over on the bench now. All the tools I need kind of are laid out here in some sort of disorder. And I made a template to where I want these to be, and just printed it out in 1:1 scale. So I can just bring it up against the workpiece like this. Now, you notice the two little center marks? Can you see those little center marks in the there? That's where I'm going to drive a little pointy dowel thing through to mark where I want to set the drill bit, which is a Forstner bit. Hold that down. Pokey poke. Poke. All right, so I've got the marks where I want the, bang that in, make a bit slightly bigger mark. Overall, the grip is 4 inches wide, 1.5 inches deep, and rounded. All the corners are rounded over for comfort for the hands. So now I want to do drilling of the holes. Some of this is probably going to be on a time lapse. Some of it's going to be real time. We shall see. So let me put my tunes back on. My shop tunes. Okay. I'll keep these on and talk. So I've got the holes drilled. Now I'm going to knock this corner off here and knock this corner off here, and then cut straight across here to knock out the block. And I'm going to mark it ahead of time so I know what the hell I'm doing. Make sure I go straight on the lines. Not super perfect, but just a good guide. And a fast operating coarse bit for wood on a saw. Oh, a little note, if you want the blade to stay relatively straight, don't force the blade into the wood. Let the blade do all the work and carry the saw for you. Before I take the router to this, I want to use my Nicholson, this is which one have I got here, the number 50, pattern makers file. And I want rasp. I want to knock down any high spots so that the router bearing won't leave bumps. They're not really going to be felt unless, you know, this is not great, what you call fine furniture. It's yard furniture, but okay. So that's ready for the round over. I'm going to do all one side and do the round over, then flip them over to do the other side. So let's do the round over, then we'll take a closer look. Noise. I already have the bit set up for the 1/2 inch round over. So let's have a look at what I just did. Very simply put, I cut 2 round holes. I cut out the waste wood and did smoothed it out on the inside here and here, and did a 1/2 inch round over around it. So when people grab this, I'll do the other side later, it'll be smooth on the hands, and there's enough material up here to keep it strong, and it'll be easy to transport around, but it's going to be really heavy until this wood dries out to its stable state, which is going to be about 20%. Right now I don't know what it is. I haven't measured it. I don't want to know. Now that I have the handle grip holds in place, I got to put the blocking in. And I'm going to do the middle one first. I've got the center line marked on the 2 pieces, the 2 arches, and I've got, this is not quite the same width of the arch itself. I leave some room for fudge as far as parts are concerned. Now that's where it's going to go, and I got to clamp this in place because, you know, when you try to drill pocket hole screws, they want to wander on you a little bit. So I need to get dig up a couple of clamps and hold that in place. Bessies for the win. These are the screws I'm using. These are deck screws. They're Deckmate. And like I said, there's five screw holes on each end for added strength. Now let's put this in. So not only are the screws going into the wood, but they're going at an angle which gives you greater holding power. Making sure I get them in all the way tight. You can feel the feedback and see the feedback on the driving bit. It tells you that without breaking anything, that you're down tight, but you're not squeezing it into the wood and splitting the wood. So let's take this one off, put that out of the way. Take this one off, put that out of the way. And now I have to set this up so that I can screw in the other one, but have good symmetry and everything, and it's in the right place. So let's let me set that up, and then we'll drill that together, and then we can move on to the rest of the blocking. The center blocking is in place. All I did was stand this up, clamp it in place, bring the other piece up to it, clamp it across like I did when I put the first one in, put this into this piece, and then tapped it with a hammer and a mallet till I got everything squared up the way I wanted it. Then screwed the screws in the pocket holes. This was temporarily just for spacing. That's actually going to go back here. Next is the treads. They're going to go on. That's 2x4s. They'll be milled with 1/2-inch roundover on the tops and pre-drilled holes to fasten them down. And on top of that, there's going to be a band that goes from here to here that's a 1/2-inch high, where an LED tube is going to sit up against that. Then there's another piece of material that's going on top of that. That's going to be metal. A friend of ours is a blacksmith. He's got a slip roller. He's making that. But we're up against 20 minutes here on this video. So next time we're going to finish this thing off so we can get it over to Dan's house and he can take it from there. So until next time, make great things out of wood. Maybe make some lawn furniture.